talking about you this morning. And first and foremost, let me first dispel any such generalization that it is everybody in this group that is, faulty or fault here. No, 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 no. Once again, it's just the institution that we are making reference to this morning. Hospital fraud is our conversation. Now, my question is this: should administrators and not doctors be in charge of hospitals? Let me say that again. Should administrators and not doctors be in charge of hospitals? It's not the first, second, third, or fifth time. In fact, when I was in university, it was one of the biggest issues. One of those issues I actually ran through that led to a strike, between two very interesting groups at the hospital. But here's why we're talking about this. Now, recently, a friend of mine became a father. We are all so happy for him, right? So happy. Just about a month after the baby was born, when he got home, they noticed that there was a swelling at the back of the head. They didn't notice it at birth. The hospital didn't quite pick it up. There was nothing to worry about. They were discharged and everything was there. Hey, go be with your newborn baby. Pretty little boy. And so, as any father or mother would do, let's take him back to the hospital and find out what this swelling is. Is this a mosquito bite? It turns out that my friend's baby has fluid leaking into his skull. Hydrocephalus, for those of you who probably know what I'm referring to. But here's where there's a problem. So they had a procedure done, right, to correct the issue. And then they had another one, because the baby wasn't responding. All of this, pediatric surgeons will tell anybody who knows anything about hospitals, operating on babies is very, very tricky. Very tricky. But anyway, second procedure, okay, the baby looks good, was responding to medication, and hey, take the baby home. And then another relapse. Now, when they brought the baby back, the supervising doctor, the consultant looked over and says, no, there was an error here. We are sorry. We are going to take responsibility for this. But the error, ladies and gentlemen, wasn't just human per se. It wasn't just that the doctor, forgot needle or something inside the baby. No. The error was in the procedures prior to the surgery. You see, it turns out that some members of staff in that hospital were doing shady deals. And when I heard, I had to ask questions. And I was reminded of some of the things that have happened in hospitals, teaching hospitals, private hospitals, you name it, they've happened. Babies have been swapped. People steal diesel. Pharmacies bring their own medication to the hospital to sell instead of their drugs. Doctors tend to refer patients to their friends. People in Nigeria are very much used to this. They say this is the major problem in hospitals. But it's not that. That's not the only problem. There is a lot of corruption in the health sector. And ultimately, who gets to be blamed? The man or the woman at the top. But the criticism is a doctor skilled at administrative roles? Or should we get a proper administrator to checkmate these corrupt practices? There are so many of them this morning. I'm sure I'm going to hear a few. My name is Jude. Let's have a conversation.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003, 0817-923-0002, 0817-923-0003. at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X at Nigeria Info PH. The WhatsApp number where we receive your WhatsApp messages and also your SMSs, but not calls, is 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. Once again, 0809 030 6416. 90.3, good morning. Oh dear, apologies. Please do bear with us. If you don't get through on that line, there is another number 0817 923 0009. 0817 923 0009. Well, this one is interesting. This one, it's from Ike. Ike says, Jude, good morning. I think the head of any hospital should be a doctor. Administrative purposes or not, nobody understands what exactly goes on in a hospital like a doctor. And so doctors should be in charge. I think what they should be doing is to probably get them some administrative classes before anybody gets to go into that space. Ike says the most important person is a doctor, so at best give him some administrative courses and all will be fine. Ejike is on the line from Port Harcourt. Ejike, good morning. Thank you for joining us on the conversation.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Ejike.
Yes, thank you for the conversation. Corruption in Nigeria is everywhere, not just in the hospitals. And let me secondly mention that it's only a doctor that can understand the dynamics of the health sector in the hospital and to be able to run it. You put someone else there, situation is going to be worse, I can assure you. So the administrators are doing what they ought to do to ensure that these things are, meet on the board. But of course, you know that corruption is engraved in our DNA as Nigerians.
Wow, that's a very heavy statement, GK.
You know it. You go to the market, you do businesses around, you patronize government establishments and all what have you. So that's what it is. It's not just in the hospitals. So bringing hospitals to put them on the spotlight, well, I do not know if that is the way to go.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Educate. And I think I'll explain why the hospital space is put under the spotlight. You see, of all the other sectors, none more so is heavily engaged and engaging as that sector. Primarily because we as a race, as a species, rather, have decided that life is sacred. It is sacrosanct, that it be preserved. And so if that's the case, if on many a charter across the history of mankind, it's been determined that, look, even in war, when you have shot at your opponent, right, and the opponent is in a certain stage, you don't go and carry out further torture. It's been universally accepted that, life is sacred. So if that's the case, why then would we be finding... I'm not saying this is only akin to Nigeria, don't get me wrong. But how do we challenge this norm? We'll be back after the break. a relative of mine gets sick? What if my son needs to be rushed to the hospital? Are we going to get the very best care that we can? And it's not just about the expenses now. This morning we focus on some of the things that have happened in and around hospital centers that has gotten people very worried. Nowhere have I visited, and I've visited very few countries. I haven't been to the West yet. But the African countries I've visited, right, just two of them, the people who I've met from those other African countries, Tanzanians, I've met Ugandans, I think it's South African, Rwandan, nowhere have I met where people say this as frequently as Nigerians. Honey, please be in the room when I'm giving birth. In many a country, when the woman is in labor, it's the doctor, the medical team that are there. Yes, sometimes, it's become like a fad. I call it a fad, particularly for Westerners. It's a fad, for the husband to be there to hold the wife's hand and, share that moment together. Yeah, fine. But, there are very serious cases where, the husband has to stay outside. But, in the past, I'd say, decade, I've had more and more female friends of mine saying, look, when they are in the labor room, their husband should be there. Or at the very least, a member of family should be present. The reason being, so many stories of babies being swapped, so many stories of negligence that led to the deaths of several Nigerian babies and even the mothers. These complications arise. Yes, we know that the medical facilities around Nigeria, by and large, are not world standard. Some claim to be world class, but the operating reality is totally different. And what brings this once again to our table is the fact that with the growing cases of paternal fraud, who's to say, ladies and gentlemen, that the baby that they say is not your baby is actually not your baby because it was switched at the hospital? And it wasn't a case of an accidental switch, it was intentional. Because I got to see a document, I don't know, maybe some of you have seen it, an expose, an investigative report that said in some hospitals across the Federal Republic of Nigeria, people are buying babies for 1.5 million naira for a female and 2.5 million naira for a male. Do you know how embarrassing it is to have this conversation on international radio? That we have gotten to the point where people in this country, nurses, caregivers, are actively in the business of selling human beings. Because that's what it is. Blood drives, blood donor drives are very big these days. I have been a donor for a very long time, since I was in university. And interestingly, I assumed my blood group was totally, well, not my blood group, my phenotype, or my genotype rather, was different until recently. When I found out, oh yes, it was AS. I am AS. But I've been donating blood all this while. My blood has been used. I remember having my blood being given to a child who needed at least 5 pints of blood because they were going in for a very, very complex surgery in this country. Can't forget that. The mother was so happy. But years later, when I finished school and I was going to donate blood again, I was told by somebody that this blood, when you just donate, they don't send you, you give anybody. I said, no. I said, they don't sell them. I said, what do you mean? You see, watch out now. This blood, when you just give now, sure you give them free. I understand that, yes, they have to keep it refrigerated, keep it at a very certain temperature so that when they will need it, it will come in handy. I said, okay, that makes sense. Obviously, operational costs, particularly in this country where diesel and everything, power is not cheap. But he said, Jude, sometimes in this Port Harcourt, people would be looking for a pint of blood and 12,000 naira will not get them that blood. people have died in Port Harcourt. They didn't have 15,000 naira because they didn't have 12,000, because they didn't have 20,000 naira. Why? Because there are intermediaries all over the hospitals, middlemen, businessmen, who are making sure the blood only gets to those who can afford it. So the question once again is, should the doctor be at the head of any medical facility, or do we need administrators? Let's have a conversation.
The views and opinions shared on this program do not represent the position of Nigeria Info FM. Nigeria Info, let's talk.
With Jude on 92.3 Nigeria Info.
So 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0009. These are the numbers I'd like to offer you to call into the studio and share your thoughts with us this morning. 0817-923-0007, 0817-923-0009. We are live on Facebook and X. The handle is at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH. Then please do send us a message. We do not restrict you because you don't have a WhatsApp number. Send your SMS. We would love to read them. The number is 0809 030 6416. 0809 030 6416. I start out with the messages. We have Zion waiting on the line from GRA. This one says, Jude, please, can you confirm the PhD? Okay. It's from Elsewhere. Okay, all right. We'll find out what's wrong with the Minita Estate. All right. It's not just there. I think a lot of places that have Band A supply have been a bit rationed recently. So we'll just clarify that. Zion's on the line from Jerry. Good morning to you, Mr. Zion.
Yeah, good morning to you.
Good morning, please.
You must not have a medical personnel to head that department before things should be the way it should. All you need is just somebody educated enough, passionate enough, someone that has the idea, somebody that is dynamic in nature, somebody that can postulate theories, somebody that has the art to build a monument, who is not hungry, who is not poor, who is not desperate for wealth. Nations are built by passion to protect the future. You can get an economist to be there. All does it need to do?
Really?
It's not to check on the welfare and the health of the health system. What can be replicated? In fact, it's very easy to develop Nigeria. Do you know why? There are templates you can rely on. You look at America, Minnesota State, how is agriculture working? Look at Texas, how is the health system working? You replicate it here. Look at India. Why are we going to India for certain major surgery? Can you replicate it here? If you cannot, can you affiliate it? It is idea. Most of these people are not educated enough to be there. And we keep them there, and people are losing life, losing legs, coming back frustrated, and yet people are being paid. And the commissions that you should make these people, once you give them peanuts, they close your case. People are not investigate them. Now, a man, say, yes, they didn't drop us 2 million. Yes, they didn't drop us this. This is the problem of this country. In all departments and agencies in this country, if we have selfless hands, handling and manning them, things will not be like this. I grew up in River State. Look at the factors by Alfred Jeter's speech. If Alfred Jeter's would have been one of these politicians of today, all these monuments River State is standing at the site and sounds of River State, you will not see them. The story buildings, the good road network, will you see them? the standard, but will you see them?
So the head doesn't have to be a medical doctor, a medical
It must
personnel.
not be a medical doctor.
All right, Muriel on the line from Africa. Muriel, what say you? Good morning, please.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for your patience. What say you, please?
Thank you. No problem, Jude. Jude, I think a medical practitioner should head all medical practitioners. Those that have gone through the training, both psychological and otherwise. Those that know, they know the system. You know, they passed through it before they got to the level they are. They know what happens at every point in time. I think those are the best. We shouldn't give medical positions, all these positions to politicians or appointees from anywhere. No. Medical practitioners should head all these sectors. Look, thank God for phones, Jude. And because of this, we've seen so many things that ordinary people wouldn't have been able to see, you know. There was one social media this I saw, and the man took his wife, his child, to do DNA test because of all these rampant cases of fathers not being the actual fathers of the children they are training. So the DNA told him that child is not his. So when he came home and consulted his wife, the person that came with him, that the wife cried to she said, but she has never indulged in any extramarital activity. But she was sharing and she was. So the man told the husband, so please, let's wait. Let's go and test this child. This child is being the child of the mom. So when they went to check, they now found out that this child does not even belong to the woman.
To the mother.
You know, that does not belong to the man. So they have to go to the hospital. After that, I didn't hear the other part. You see? So these are the things that are happening. So me, at every point in time, I tried going to a government hospital, general, federal hospital. As you keep there, do you know what the nurses will do? Even though you're unconscious, they knock you, they tap you. They make sure you're conscious that your baby is coming out. And as your baby is coming out, they just show you your baby. This is your baby. Are you seeing your baby? Do you know what saved me when I gave birth to my first child, Jude? A scan was telling me boy. I went to two places. They told me a boy, a male child.
Okay.
Do you know that when I gave birth to a girl? And if the nurse had not tapped me, woke me up, that, are you seeing your baby? Right now, the baby came out of me. She showed me my baby crying. And this is something that I would have stood that hospital. Because my scar result so clearly told me a male child. You see? This controversy normally happens. When it comes to the DNA, there is no controversy about it. They only switch. So with all these facts and so many more that some constitutions will add to it, so I think medical practitioners who know the system, who have the same party, the psychological training, should go ahead and take this sector.
All right. Thank you very much, Muriel. Pleasure to have had you join in the conversation. What's up now? Jude, good morning. The doctors should be trained for administrative roles and made head or over a subhead being a professional administrator. Let me read this again. Jude, good morning. The doctor should be trained for administrative roles and made head over a subhead being a professional administrator. These shady deals, they should introduce ICPC, NIDOM, Desire. Interesting, NIDOM. I'm going to read for you because I have in front of me, like I always tell you, I like to get facts, I like to get reports and, papers. So I'll read something for you, for all of us this morning. Now that she mentioned, was it he now? Mentioned ICPC. Ida is on the line from Ikoro. Oh dear, apologies for that. All right, so let me read this. This is a report from the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission, aka ICPC, and I'm reading from the website icpc.gov.ng, and this was, if I'm not mistaken, a few years ago. Let me get the date now. Yes, 2023. Now, the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offenses Commission has charged the management of Nnamdi Azikiwe University Teaching Hospital not to relent in offering best healthcare services to the people. So that means at some point in time, something happened, somebody made a report, and then the ICPC had to come in and say, okay, let's investigate. So there is a space for, ICPC or any other body to come and, okay, let's assess what's going on. And I know NMA has bodies that checkmate, issues like that. But from an administrative point, Desire, it's already happening. Ewat is on the line from Port Harcourt. Ewat, good morning to you, please.
Okay, Jude, thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Okay, basically what I want to say is that the corruption that happens in the health sector has nothing to do with whether the person at the head of affairs is a doctor or an administrator. It has to do with a character problem, which is systemic in our administration. It's a character problem. If the person at the helm of affairs has issues with corruption, then you can be rest assured that everything will be normal. But if the person at the helm of affairs is already corrupt, whether he or she is a medical doctor or not, that system will be corrupt. Having said that, it is pertinent that in our health system, we have doctors to head the health systems. Why? Because there are intricacies in the male health system which only doctors would understand. However, such heads should endeavor to get administrative knowledge.
Okay.
There's nothing wrong if they go to get a PGD in public admin, a PGD in business admin, a PGD in whatever course that has to do with administration. So they have a holistic knowledge, a holistic background on how to head hospital administration. Thank you so very much.
Ewat, thank you very much for your time. Good morning. Victor is on the line from Rumukrishi. Victor, good morning to you, please.
Okay, Jude, good morning.
Welcome, sir.
The whole thing boils down to the kind of system we find ourselves, the kind of society. Remember, I told you something, that the kind of society you see is a reflection of the kind of people we are. Look, I was talking to a young man yesterday. I told him, I said, Tinubu is the good person that is happening to Nigeria. You know why? We are all sabotaged in one way or the other.
Interesting. Saboteurs.
Yes. Because I carefully listen to your conversation. A lot of your conversation, even when I don't respond, when I listen to them. Now, you observe that from the up to the two, we are all corrupt in one slick way or the other. Carefully look at it. I'm telling you. That's why you see the doctors, the nurse, they are not interested of those things that they swore. Now you swore to take charge of human life.
Yes, they swore. No, that's true.
Do you know what is wrong?
First, do no harm.
Take charge of human life. But just go there and see the way they behave, what they do. So it is the reflection of the society we have. That's why somebody was asking Canada a question this morning. He said, listen, people shout because they are not opportune. A wise man said that you are a suspect until we catch you with 10 million. I'm poor. That guy is very humble. No, it's a lie. Until we catch you with millions. That is where you are. Humility will be recognized or said, okay, we said, yes, it's true. This guy is humble. We are all suspects. Honestly. The country from the beginning, because the system is automatically corrupt, messed. I'm telling you, just calm down and look the way we behave, the way things are happening. You go to the hospital, somebody will look for a way to sneak money out of you in the business that you are doing. Everywhere. I'm not surprised when a man says Nigeria is fantastically corrupt. And if you carefully look look at it. I think it's individual.
So who do you think you head the hospital now? Is it a medical doctor or an administrator, a manager?
The problem is not who is heading the system. The problem is we.
Okay.
Are we reformed?
Okay.
Are we informed?
Okay.
Do we think? What have we done? We are not ready. Okay, let me ask you a question. In every sector that you push people to go and head, now how many of them have go through the process and read the book about those places that you send them to go and head? All we know in Nigeria, that is why you see Yahoo grow on a daily basis. You know why? The system, the whole mindset of Nigerians is that when you make money, you are okay. Nobody look at the vision. Nobody look at the potential. Nobody look at the dream. Nobody knows that thing is not working. You can only shout it here. When you look at an average Nigerian, you see that there is no vision, no dream.
Okay. Kingdom, thank you very much, Victor. Kingdom's on the line from Port Harcourt. Kingdom, you're my final caller. Good morning to you, please.
Good morning, Jude. How are you?
Very well. Welcome, please.
I've been listening to the program on who should run the hospital, is he a medical doctor or an administrator? Truth be told, ideally should be an administrator,
ideally,
not a medical doctor.
Okay.
We have been making this mistake for over a very long time. A medical doctor is trained to handle issues that have to do with treatment of patients and all that. An administrator is trained to administer an organization. It doesn't matter. What matters is when you put a credible person, somebody who is qualified in position, he should be studied it. He should be able to know the right thing to do. And when he do it, things will work effectively. Jude, secondly, corruption is endemic. But take it from me that the man at the helm of the affair has all it takes to nip it at the board. If you can remember the Presidential Aspirant of Labour Party, Mr. Titobi, said, if the president is not involved, his wife is not involved, his children are not involved, that we have cut off that corruption at least 50%. So it lies with the person at the helm of the affair. If the Buddha said, it lies the heads that wear the crown. When you put the right person in a position of authority, and he knows what has been handed over to him and running it effectively, there's not going to be any problem.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Jude.
Kingdom, thank you very much for your time, and we do appreciate your views. All right, let's get to wrap up by reading some comments here. Please do continue to send them. Be part of the conversations, please. All right, at Nigeria Info PH, at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook, and X at Nigeria Info PH is where you find us on Facebook and on X. All right, WhatsApp. Now, Wanchuku from Port Harcourt says, good morning, Jude. It is only in Nigeria that CMDs manage hospitals. Every other place in the world, hospitals have managers, and they are not medical doctors. CMD should clearly be in charge of the medical decisions, and then the hospital manager is clearly in charge of management. Interesting. Wanchuku from Port Harcourt. Thank you very much. That's a very interesting take there. Educate says, look, doctors should be square pegs in square holes in the health sector, seen to the day-to-day activities of health facilities and hospitals. Corruption is endemic in Nigeria, such as sorting in the universities, ghosting in the NYSC. Corruption is in the civil service, including the police and the military, etc. Jude, you lack information and you are raising serious allegations against all health workers. A few infractions does not warrant this volume of generalistic accusations against health workers. Bring up examples of infractions and report them, and see the system investigate and deal with the issues. Ejike, thank you very much. But I did start off by saying very clearly that this is not an indictment on all, but is basically a reflection of some of the things that have happened. I had no way, at any point stated that this is happening with all doctors, all radiographers. No, I never mentioned that, Mr. HK, please. All right, let's go on a break. When we come, I'll share with you the Hippocratic Oath by 10 before we talk about cars.